Welcome back to another episode of What's New in Beauty. My name is Nia Lee, and I'm super excited to have you guys here. If this is your first time tuning in, this is essentially where I love to talk about all the new and exciting things happening in the beauty industry, everything from beauty launches to beauty acquisitions that seem to be happening more so than often not. But on today's episode, I'm really excited just to get into it. So let's just do it. I'm really excited about this news, and I spoke about this brand, I believe, last episode or the episode previous to this, and they just keep killing it. So this is all about Pattern Beauty expanding into direct to stylist professional salons, and according to glossy.com, Pattern is expanding its omni-channel distribution via professional salons, opening up the buzzy hair care brand to a new revenue channel and bridging the gap between professional services and textured hair customers. The brand essentially is not releasing an initial number of salon accounts, but the VP of Global Marketing at Pattern stated, "We've always known that stylists and salons have been a safe place for nurturing beauty. Stylists are who we confide in, who we can trust to essentially transform us. In a sense, stylists see the vision even before it's even realized. And we wanted to continue to provide a personalized relationship to our community by going direct to stylists." Now, according to research conducted by Jitnux, Black Americans possessed a combined buying power of $1.4 trillion, and they spend 9 times more on ethnic hair and beauty products compared to the general market. And another research conducted by McKinsey, again, Black customers spent $6.6 billion on beauty in 2021. That's 11.1% of the total U.S. beauty market, and just behind the 12.4% Black representation in essentially the U.S. population. Furthermore, Black consumers are 3 times more likely to be disadvantaged. Let's just, cut that, but also dissatisfied with their hair care, skincare, and makeup options compared to non-Black consumers. And in 2020, I found this really interesting. TRESemmé actually released a survey on hair bias, revealing a training gap for stylists regarding textured hair, which tends to create a salon atmosphere that makes Black women and customers with textured hair feel uncomfortable and undeserved. Now, Pattern is currently sold at Sephora and Ulta Beauty, and I think this is a really great move for them, considering, especially when it comes to textured hair, but also even just like Black people as a whole. This conversation of beauty is an ever-going thing that, is something that Black people are consistently speaking about, right? And everything from makeup to hair, even sometimes to the clothes that we wear, is it really is a thing for us in a sense. And if you didn't know, I'm also Black. So when I say us, I really do mean that. And it's something that, people know that Black people like to spend money on clothes and also everything from beauty to skincare, and just honestly anything. Like, we want to spend money to look cool. We want to spend money to look a certain way because, in a sense, that's going to make us feel good. And also, sometimes we have to present a certain way for the market, for society, for the public, right? When you have this conversation about hair bias and there not being enough representation and, Black people who are spending a lot of money, even though the percentage of Black people in the US, the whole entire population, like, when you really kind of look at it, like, we are really out here making these companies so much money, right? And when you think about, how we are being represented in these spaces within these companies, it always feels like they're just kind of throwing us a bone, as if your entire brand or your entire company has not been built off of the back of Black people. And if we're really even being more specific, Black women, because we are really the ones who are really steering things. That's what I've always truly believed. In this entering of Pattern into these professional salons, and also just within these spaces, I think it just makes Pattern a pioneer in a sense, because even the whole conversation of, seeing certain brands, right? Like, you could go into a salon, for example. I actually remember I was going into a salon. I was going into a bunch of salons in my neighborhood to get my hair dyed. And I could instantly feel, there was only one salon that kind of sort of was trying to make it work. I didn't end up getting my hair dyed, but the only time that this salon wanted to essentially make it work is because it was literally the only Black guy working there, and they, I guess, didn't know how to deal with black hair whatsoever. And I was, I don't have hair. My head's practically bald. I really just wanted my hair dyed like this platinum blonde color. Now, on top of the fact that, my hair, for the most part, is healthy. It's virgin hair, if you want to call it that. It hasn't really been like, yes, I've dyed it and stuff like that. But other than that, I haven't put any like, super duper like perm. I was going to say harsh chemicals like perm or anything like that in it. And I don't, put a lot of heat on it or anything like that. So other than me dyeing my hair every other month or every 2 months, that's the most that I do. But you could just see the uncomfortableness that they had, or the fact that they just weren't gonna like get it done. / when I'm going into all of these salons and I'm looking at all the products that they have, because I'm always looking at products and I'm always interested to see what, establishments have, it's the same brands over and over again. Mind you, these brands have been around for a minute, right? The Tresemes, the Joicos, the, literally there's so many of these brands that we can call. But at the end of the day, if people are spending their hard-earned money, especially because you are the professional, we're going to expect that, especially in 2023. Like, it's absurd to me how certain organizations or companies or brands just completely like ostracize or not even really show any of that representation whatsoever, because either they don't know the education, they're not interested in actually getting the education, or they don't see the point because they already have the clientele that they're working with. Now, hey, if that's how you want to run your business and that's how you want to do things, I've just always believed if you're calling yourself a beauty professional, if you're calling yourself a beauty expert, a makeup artist, a hairstylist, anything that has an ist at the end, especially in the beauty space, you should kind of have an idea about how to do everything, right? Obviously, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine who we were saying when it comes to hair school or even makeup school, they're just not teaching these things. And it's really upsetting because the amount of people that are in hair and let's just say makeup school, the majority of those people end up being Black, right? And the only way certain people can get any sort of education is honestly just by doing the work themselves, really stepping outside of their comfort zones. So all that to be said, Black people as a whole are still fighting for representation. And it's unfortunate because, like I said, we are the ones that are buying everything. We are the gatekeepers. We are the people that consistently people look to see what's cool, what's not, what's in, what's out. And to see patterns saying, hey, we want to be here and this is what we want to do. And we understand that when it comes down to it, like, we could be out here telling y'all, hey, this product is great. But the connection that a stylist will have with their customer is way more influential than somebody just going to, let's just say, Sephora or going to Ulta and picking up a product because they saw it on social media. That has its own validity to it, and that has its own strength, which is why I love that they kind of have this omni-channel distribution approach, because they are at the Ultas, they are at the Sephoras, but now they're in the salon. So now, I've been seeing a ton of like textured hair care salons pop up, salons that specifically will cater to, curly textured hair, even 4C hair as well too. I've been seeing a lot of educators as well come to the stage and, actually say, hey, this is what I do. And you as a salon owner, especially if you if you're a salon owner in a particular area where there is going to be Black people and you say that you don't do Black hair, like, these educators are coming to the stage and really getting it done. So I haven't really seen Pattern talk too much about this. I'm interested to see what their marketing is going to look like in terms of how they will actually maybe possibly advertise this. If they will even advertise it will be interesting to see, but I love it. It just goes to show, that Pattern has their eye on the ball. And Tracy, who is the founder of the brand, I believe she's also the CEO, she has a pulse on like what is the future. And I spoke about this a while ago, that when it comes to what people are craving for now, it's not even necessarily an influencer telling somebody, hey, use this product. It's professionals, it's experts, it's doctors, it's people who have certifications, it's people who actually have expertise and have professionalism that people want to hear from. And so I would be interested to see how Pattern really tackles this, if they're going to do sponsored events, or if they're going to, again, highlight this even further to really kind of bring home that, we're not just, wanting you to buy our products at Sephora and Ulta and call it a day. We want you to also know that when you come to this salon, you're going to see pattern beauty products, and you're going to recognize them as well too. And that's the other thing. When you go to the salon, you want to obviously be put on to like the best thing that's going to be used for your hair. But when you have that, touch point of it also being, at Sephora or at, an affordable drugstore like an Ulta or, any sort of thing like that, it really creates a great touch point for people as well too, because it makes your brand seem incredibly accessible. Like, it's one thing to have your brand, in a store, in a retailer, but to also know that I can get my hair done and also use your products as well too, it just makes it such a seamless process for the customer itself. And I think that's genius. Like, I just think that's so smart. I think that's so genius. People go to Walmart or they'll go to Ulta or CVS or whatever, and they'll pick up products, they'll pick it up right off the shelf and they don't really know if it's going to work or not. But just imagine you getting your hair trimmed or you're getting your hair styled, and the products that you're using, that your actual stylist is using, you can also buy and feel just as confident that you understand how each product is going to work as well too. So I think this is really dope. And this also brought, let me know as well too that this might be where certain, let's just say like D2C brands are going to be going with things, because last month, Black-owned hair care brand Briogeo, that was actually acquired by Wella last year, that they were actually going to head to the professional channel in partnership with Salon Centric to essentially have their products available in 600 doors starting this August. So, I actually didn't know that Briogeo was acquired by Wella, but this is actually going to mark Wella's first portfolio expansion as an independent entity. And according to the Wella CEO, this is going to be adding to their indie brand's high growth, eco-ethical hair care products, complement the company's existing portfolio, and sustainable offerings, and fuel future product and retail growth. So, all that fancy corporate talk just to say we are not really where the people are, and the people are really latching on to indie. They're really latching on to small-owned businesses that have great products. And I'm not going to sit here and say Briogeo is a small business, because they're not. They're literally in Sephora. But they're a particular niche type of product that you have to kind of know about them, because you've either seen them on social media. They have, certain products that are a hit. I know their products are really great because everybody talks quite highly of them. But I think them entering into salons, and same thing with Pattern entering into salons, shows that they're not really just interested in, just being D2C or having, just the random person walking into Sephora to try out their products, or if someone ends up seeing it on a TikTok and goes viral. Like, they want to be where the decisions are being made, where people have super trust in the professionals and the experts, and aligning themselves to that as well too. And I think that's one of the best ways that you're going to be able to differentiate your brand compared to another brand is like, where are you? Where is it that people can find you? Like, everybody wants to get into retail. Everyone wants to get in Sephora and Ulta, and they want to get into Target. But where is your brand that's really speaking to your audience of people? Like, it's one thing to say, hey, this is our brand and this is who we're marketing to and this is who we want to sell to. But it's another thing to say, like, listen, we understand that there is a, increase of people who have textured hair, 4C hair, who want to get their hair professionally done. And if you were on TikTok all of last year and even this year, the sew-ins are back. The, silk press season just passed. Everybody is being super intentional. It's obviously braid season right now because the girls are going on trips and they want to get their hair braided. And so there is an intent about, that. And I've seen it time and time again. I mean, heck, I used to be one of them where you would spend hundreds of dollars on your hair to look a certain way. And that would also include product as well, too. So it just goes to show you that these brands are thinking strategically in the sense of we want to be where, and gatekeeper is such a, the word has kind of been bastardized a little bit, but the word gatekeeper just means individuals who have a specific understanding and who have a specific sense of like clout and expertise that can really, get people to make decisions. And the stylists are essentially that, right? But they're putting you onto a brand that you've probably already heard about and probably already love. Now that's going to get you to go out and buy products, more products, whether it's at the salon, whether it's at the Sephora, whether it's at Ulta. And it just, it shows that you're really trying to create an ecosystem of your brand, right? You're not just trying to be at one spot and calling it a day. You want to be at the right retailers. You want to be at the right professional, companies. You want to be at the right salons as well too. So congrats to Pattern, congrats to Briogeo, and I'll be really excited to see how they really go about marketing this and putting it out there as well too, because when it comes to the professional stuff, not too many brands advertise it because it is just kind of like, a mum's the word kind of thing, but I can totally see this being a great content piece for Pattern to really get into and also partner with, artists and hairstylists and professionals who are in this space, even sponsor, an event for a salon as well too, and, highlight those salons that are really, quite new, but they're still, and I don't even want to say quite new, but the popularity of them has been quite new. So I'll be really interested to see how Pattern fully lays that out. Next up, Hero Cosmetics, huge brand. I spoke about Hero, I believe, a few episodes ago when they got acquired, probably one of the biggest beauty acquisitions ever. They're expanding into Canada. Cries in Canadian, because no one ever expands into Canada. But they're going to be available at several Canadian retailers. This is essentially their entry into Canada, actually marks the first ever international expansion for the brand itself, and the first time that Canadians will be able to shop a range of patches directly from a retailer in Canada. Hero, has noticed that Canadian customers have shown an overwhelmingly interest and demand via social media requests and high site traffic, pointing towards an already strong Canadian customer base for the Hero brand. Just want to point out, this is why social media is incredibly important for your brand, y'all. Like, some of y'all be thinking social media is something that you can just do and that's fine, but when you actually have a strategy in place for your social media and a plan, and you're doing it really well and executing it flawlessly, that social media response, those analytics, the data, the insights can be used for you to make bigger business moves. And I think people forget that. I think a lot of people think that social media is just, you putting up a video when you're bored and you're like, hey, like, let me just throw something up there because I think people are going to care. No. Like, as you can see here, and I've seen this across multiple brand pages, especially when the brand is specifically based in the US and people want them to come to Canada. Like, one thing I'm gonna say about Canadians is we love to spend our money. You know what I mean? Like, the country is in a little bit of a shambles sometimes, but we love to spend our money, especially on brands that are from the States. One, maybe because there's a bit of a FOMO because the brands never come over here. There's a lot of rules and restrictions when it comes to certain beauty products. So that might be why, your brands aren't coming into Canada as quickly as it is. But Hero Cosmetics has now entered into Canada, which is super exciting for a lot of people, myself included. I've known about the brand for a minute now, and I'll be really interested to try out their products. They're going to be actually available nationwide and online at Shoppers Drug Mart, Walmart, and of course, Amazon. And the co-founder and CEO of Hero Cosmetics stated, "It's always been our goal to ensure accessibility to everyone and anyone who may need our products. Launching in Canada is an exciting step towards that goal. I'm so excited to bring the Hero brand story and our solutions to the Canadian customer." And of course, they're going to be launching with their best sellers, the Mighty Patch Original patches, the Mighty Patch Invisible Plus patches, the Mighty Patch Nose patches, and Mighty Patch Surface patches. And they have plenty of plans to expand that offering in 2024. So congrats to Hero. I mean, this is a really dope, piece of news, especially because Hero Cosmetics is so beloved by so many people. Like, everybody from Gen Z, Gen Alpha, to millennials, to even some of the boomers, even though their target audience is definitely a younger crowd, people that are breaking out, college people. I've seen them do ambassadorship programs with college students. Like, Hero is really on top of it. I'm kind of shocked that they're not as big as they are because everybody loves them. They have thousands of reviews on Amazon and everything in relation to that. So I can only see them having, great success in Canada, especially. It'll be interesting also to see what the rollout is going to be, because I actually found out about this news news on LinkedIn, the random times that I'm on LinkedIn, just to check in, see what everybody's doing. I actually follow the founder, the co-founder, I should say, and the CEO of Hero, and I saw that she had put together this cute collage saying, hey, we're going to be launching into Canada. We had an intimate, education session. We invited some press. We invited a couple influencers. So it'd be really interesting to see the entire rollout of everything because they really haven't announced anything as of yet. There is a Hero Cosmetics Canada page, and a friend of mine was asking, why do they create a separate page? And I feel like, again, there's certain restrictions that certain brands have when they're launching into Canada, or maybe it's just a PR marketing thing, but I think it probably would have been smarter to keep them all in one. But I mean, hey, brands are going to do what brands are going to do, and only we know what they're really getting up to. But I'm excited for Hero. I'm excited to try out some of their products as well too. I'm hoping that they bring that newly launched product that they just put out as well too, essentially like a patch for fine lines. And I was talking to a girlfriend about it as well too. And I don't know, I think when brands expand into Canada, it's such an exciting thing because we Canadians don't get nothing. Like, we don't get nothing. And by the time a brand is cool and popping and we want them to be over here, like, nobody cares about the brand anymore in that kind of sense. Or they don't really do anything special enough for the Canadian rollout. I saw that Live Tinted launched in Canada recently as well too, and they had a cute little rollout, like they did like a Sephora Canada thing with a couple, Desi and Brown, specifically influencers, which I love to see as well too. Again, influencers that had worked with Live Tinted as well, but it was very hush hush. You know what I mean? There wasn't too much. They did a little bit of a rollout, the billboard and whatnot on Bloor, but it didn't really feel like much of a splash. And I get it. There's again so little things you can do here in Canada, but you can do a lot of things. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Hero really kind of puts their stamp on Canada, if they're going to do, specific events at these retailers, partnerships. It'll be interesting to see the influencers and the content creators that are a part of this launch as well too, if they're planning on doing anything. But I'm excited. I'm more so excited when a notable brand gets launched into Canada because it's a very rare occasion. Last but not least, talking about retailers and all that fun stuff, Sephora launched a new program for up-and-coming underrepresented artists. And a little bit of a fact here, Social Media Today reported that brands using music and sounds on TikTok experienced a 120% increase in awareness, with 88% of consumers stating that the sound on TikTok is vital to the viewing experience. As a TikTok user, I completely agree. There will be times where I will be scrolling through TikTok and the video may or may not really relate to what's going on to the music or the sound, but it doesn't really matter because if I really care about the sound, I'm either going to add it to my favorites or if it's a song, I'm going to immediately run to Spotify and try to find it and add it to my playlist. So I totally believe that. And any sort of audio or sound that goes viral on TikTok, and it happens quite often. I've seen new artists, blow up on TikTok. I mean, we've seen it with everything from Ice Spice to Lil Nas X. So we obviously know there's some power to that. But all of this to say, to reach consumers in the past, or in the most effective way through music, Sephora has created Sephora Sounds, which is a music collective that supports up-and-coming artists while complementing, essentially, and bringing in retailer social content. So this is really interesting to me for two reasons. One, Sephora is so smart. Sephora is so smart because especially when it comes to beauty, especially when it comes to, everything. Sephora's got everything now. They've even got like a sexual health and wellness space. They've got hair care. They've got skincare. They've got makeup. They've got perfume. A lot of the content that ends up going viral on TikTok does end up being beauty related. So it only makes sense for a brand. And again, the beauty related content, a lot of the products that are showcased in the beauty sphere are either from Sephora or they're from Ulta. And Ulta has created so many initiatives in the last couple years, or last few years, I should say, that have really put a lot of people on. The Ulta Beauty program as well, too. That's very similar to like the Sephora Squad program, where they select influencers and content creators to essentially kind of be their reps or their ambassadors for the products that they sell. They've done a really great job with that. Like I said, Sephora has theirs, but this Sephora Sounds thing to me sounds like we're really trying to show y'all that we're different. Like, we are different than the average company. We are different than the average beauty retailer that only necessarily cares about product. I mean, obviously Sephora cares about you buying their products. I mean, hey, I was literally there yesterday. But it just goes to show you that they understand that something like music is so integral to content and also so integral to just the beauty experience altogether. So I think this is such a smart move for them. The Sephora Sounds features 55 emerging artists, including Ain't Afraid, a sister duo composed of twins, and Precious, a Nigerian-American pop singer and songwriter who's collaborated with rappers and well-known industry names like Baby Tate. And essentially this is all to aim to highlight their proprietary music and soundtracks by showcasing through the retailer's social media posts. Now, when creating the initiative, Sephora learned that 70% of participating artists had never been given a paid brand collaboration, and 60% stated that their friends in the music industry had similarly never been given any sort of opportunity. And currently, more than half of the signed artists are BIPOC and female within the Sephora Sounds collective. So, I mean, I love to hear that more so than anything. It just, it tickles me. It tickles my fancy to see that Sephora is saying, like, listen, we understand that there is a lack of representation here. We understand that, and we also want to be the leaders in that. And I think it really just goes to show you at the end of the day that they also understand who their market is. Like, I would love to know what the stats look like of the amount of people that are, one, buying products at Sephora, and two, really allowing things to go viral. Because again, my TikTok algorithm is incredibly black, thank God. But everything that I be seeing that the black girlies be putting people on goes viral, and also you can get those products at Sephora. So there's something to be said about them saying, like, hey, we understand that there's a lack of representation here, even in the music itself, right? But we also got to think about who are the people that are leading the charge when it comes to these things, right? And it is people who are black or BIPOC, and a lot of the times that they are actual women as well too. So I love that they have said that this is what we're going to focus on. And again, as a result, Sephora wanted to provide this opportunity for a range of talented artists, and has reported that within just 1 month of the pilot program, Spotify listenership has grown by an average of 30K for each musician. Like I said, I just told you guys in the beginning of this, if I hear a song that I like that's on TikTok, the first thing that I'm going to do is immediately run to Spotify and see if I can get that song as well too. So this stat right here does not shock me whatsoever. Sephora Sounds comes at a time when brands are facing licensing issues on social media regarding the music that they use on their posts, promoting essentially their businesses on apps like TikTok. And essentially to tackle any infringement issues, TikTok actually had to launch their own sound partners program in 2021. However, most of the times the popular songs that often gain consumer attention are not part of the program, leaving brands slightly stuck when it comes to the most active and the most effective audio they can use for marketing. And that's the other thing, right? It's like we all know the music that's going to go viral, the music that does really well is the stuff by mainstream artists, right? It doesn't make any sense for us to use content that is like, almost like, that kind of stock ad-free kind of music. I'm forgetting the word, but that music that you just know is giving ad. Like, I know you're only using this music because this is a paid advertisement, because there's no way you could be using anything else. And, which is honestly why you'll probably see when brands do paid ads or any sort of collaborations in relation to that, yes, it's very rare that they're going to use actual music that, because they can't, they don't want to pay or whatnot. But they'll actually end up using TikTok sounds that actually end up going viral in its own sense, which I feel like that's something that TikTok should implement instead, which is the people who create viral sounds, who create videos that hit over a 10K threshold, they should be giving those individuals some sort of an opportunity to make money off of those things, because people be adding in audios and sounds just from regular people making, the music themselves or whatnot. And those people never get compensated for it. So I'm not trying to tell TikTok how to run their business, but that's something that they actually should be implementing, because the bombastic side eye, the incredible creator that actually created it, and it was remixed and it was used a gazillion times, I don't believe got any sort of compensation for that. So that's something that I think TikTok should be working on instead of creating more bold glamour filters, but that's just me. Sephora has arguably done the best thing it can for its social content, as any music produced by Sephora Sound artists is freely available for them to use in their posts without the risk of copyright infringement. The program will not only uplift artists and give them recognition they deserve, as 83% report that they turn to social media to find new artists. I completely agree, but also make the retailer's social content more fun and engaging for its viewers. And once again, this just goes to show you that Sephora just understands. Like, there must be people in that room who, and I think the Sephora Squad thing really has been a great thing for them, because by having the Sephora Squad community every single year, it's filled with a bunch of Gen Z people. Like, it's stacked with some of the most trend-setting Gen Z influencers, micro influencers, content creators, you name it, who just have a pulse on what's cool and hot. And those individuals are using songs 9 times out of 10 that are cool and hot by these huge, artists and whatnot. I could only imagine when it comes down to them making their Sephora Squad content that they're also using the music from these artists as well too. And that just brings more notoriety for the artists as well. So Sephora knows what they're doing. I mean, they've always kind of known, right? I mean, I've talked about them a gazillion times because they just come out with interesting concepts. I mean, they've been in hot water here and there, but they come up with interesting concepts. They understand their consumer. They're not afraid to do things a little bit differently compared to other retailers, and really kind of set the tone for, what they kind of want their legacy to be as a brand. And it's inspiring to see, and I'm really excited to see them speak to this even more, because I didn't really see them advertise it too much. But if you see any of those artists in their content as well too, definitely let your girl know. I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on them as well. But hey, congrats to these artists as well too. And shout out to Sephora for launching Sephora Sounds as well, for really essentially kind of once again, kind of pioneering and, being a leader in this space of, giving these artists an opportunity that, they haven't been before. And honestly, when it comes to being a creative or just an artist, like, all you really need is that one opportunity, right? You need that opportunity to put your best foot forward. And when you have a brand and a huge retailer and company like Sephora giving you, that opportunity, I can only imagine how excited these artists are all together. So congrats to everybody involved. And with all that being said, y'all, that is it for today's episode of What's New in Beauty. If you enjoyed it, leave me a comment. Let's kiki, of course. I think there's a little question box on Spotify that you can chat with me on and let me know how you enjoyed the episode. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But until then, I will catch you in the next one.